Welcome back to my channel, Ragamuffins. My name is Raggy Rog, and today I am going to be bringing you 5 characters from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate who I believe, if are included in the next Big Smash game, if we ever get one, will be completely different from how they are now. So, we've seen this happen with other characters in the past. We've had characters like Ganondorf, whose entire move sets have been changed and their aesthetic as well, and that's actually been a recurring thing for the Zelda characters as well. We now have Breath of the Wild Link instead of Twilight Princess Link, who was originally Ocarina of Time Link. Zelda has changed aesthetically. A lot of characters have had this happen, but sometimes they just stay perfectly the same from all the way to Smash 64 to today. So then you've got like Pikachu, who's tried and true down special is always going to be Thunder, you know. So, but these are going to be the 5 characters who I think, if are included in the next Big Smash game, will be totally different. So whether that's aesthetically or mechanically, we'll see. Starting off this list, I am actually going to lead with Pyra and Mythra. And I'm going to just make the assumption that you all probably think I'm going to make, and that is that they will probably be 2 separate characters. So similar to how Zelda and Sheik were when they got split up. So in Smash 4, where like back in Brawl, we had Zelda / Sheik taking up 1 fighter slot, and you could alternate between being them in the exact same way to how you operate now as Pyra and Mythra. But when Smash 4 came out, they were separated as 2 different characters. So I believe that if Pyra and Mythra are ever, you know, brought into a new Smash game, they will be released with their own unique fighter slots. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure they are going to stay pretty much the same mechanically. They are going to have different down specials, of course, but otherwise they are going to operate much the same as they do now, which I think is interesting because it will be, like, all it takes is 1 move, even if it's like just a down air or something or whatever, but in this case it would be a new down special, and sometimes one new move can change an entire character's viability. Obviously, like, they've been doing pretty well without it so far, but maybe they would suffer for not having the option to swap into each other. It's hard to say. Comment down below what you think. Would you prefer to use Pyra and Mythra separately or as a team? Definitely let me know, because they are hardly my main, so I don't know. Next on this list, I've talked about this pair in a different video. We have Simon and Richter. Now, it's not to say that I think they will both change, but in the sense that they are currently pretty much identical moveset-wise, I believe that one of them, most likely Richter, would probably be given a completely new moveset. One of them may be given a moveset that is more reliant on using the whip, where, say, maybe Richter will be more set in his ways with the throwing axes and the boomerangs and everything. Maybe Richter's moveset will be changed to reflect a more whip-heavy playstyle, which is kind of how Castlevania goes. Some games it's very heavy on the item usage, and others it's like, no, just use the whip for everything, right? So for that, I think another change would probably be like a costume change for Richter. Richter has looked very different game to game in the Castlevania series, and I think that the way he is presented in Symphony of the Night would probably make a much more interesting aesthetic for him in Super Smash Bros. Even if it is just an aesthetic one. I'd prefer that look for him. So definitely, like, if that could get some rep in Smash, I'd be okay with that. Otherwise, just keeping them both as they are wouldn't break my heart. But it would be interesting to see Castlevania get a little more representation through 2 different characters having 2 completely different movesets, and maybe even changing it up. Maybe a new look for Richter could be presented as an alt, and you could still have his old alt as well. Let me know what you think. Thirdly on this list, we have Ridley. Now, Ridley for me is, I don't really care. His inclusion in the game to me has always seemed like a joke, because we know that since Brawl there has been high demand for Ridley to be in Smash, and to me that was always a joke, and then Nintendo actually did it, so there you go. The thing with Ridley is he is a heavy who is actually deceptively light, and I think that they're going to want to play on that a little more. This is purely speculative, but I think that if Ridley is in the next Smash game, he will be probably about the same size but they will make him even lighter than he is now. And that will probably be his whole shtick, is being a very wide character who is very light. And we know that, casually speaking, that doesn't make a lot of difference in how you play, but in the meta, in the competitive realm, weight and frame size and pixel size and everything makes a big difference. So, otherwise, mechanically, the only thing I can assume that would be different about Ridley is I'm pretty sure that his command grab, so that Space Pirate Rush, his side B, will either be completely removed or nerfed. And the thing is that, while it's not difficult to get around that move, I feel like there has been a lot of complaint and crying, if you will, about that move in particular. Certainly, it always does feel a bit cheap, and we've seen it happen before where a character will have a move that seems overpowered, and then it's just kind of changed in the next Smash game. So maybe nothing much else would change with Ridley, but I feel like these are going to be some differences that we see with him for sure. Next on this list is going to be Zelda. Now, the deal with Zelda is that I think she is top tier. She is definitely a powerhouse, and anyone that uses her competitively, I'm kind of low-key scared of them because they clearly know what they're doing. Zelda is a very floaty character and magical. She uses a lot of zoning techniques, a lot of bait and punish, but in keeping with like the theme of like promoting the new Zelda titles and everything, what if Zelda was replaced with Breath of the Wild Zelda, who would be completely different from Zelda as we know her now? Aesthetically, Link to the Past Zelda, and then we have Twilight Princess Zelda. Aesthetically, they are similar enough that they can both get away with using a similar playstyle, but what if Zelda was replaced with Breath of the Wild? This would create a dynamic where you have a Zelda who isn't floaty and doesn't really use spells, but then what would her moveset be like? If nothing else, I think that Breath of the Wild Zelda might actually be included as a whole new fighter, in a similar way to how, say, Toon Link is a separate fighter from regular old Link. But, you know, there's a lot that could or couldn't be done with Zelda. In that same breath, you could also have Tetra or Toon Zelda. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that there will be something with a new Zelda, whether it takes up her old slot or it is included as a new fighter. But that is what is going to happen with Zelda, I think. Otherwise, I have no idea. Lastly, on this list, I am going to say that if he has the good fortune to be included in a future Smash game, Hero is going to be quite different. Now, most of these fighters that I've mentioned, pretty much like, the idea is that they would be different. Their whole moveset would change, or aesthetically they would change. I think that Hero would be a case of the fighter actually just getting more. So we have 4 possible costume changes with like 8 different color variations for him. I think that the color variations for each ult would be replaced with completely new designs. So similar to Bowser Jr., where it's just a whole new character model for all 8 ults. And there are enough main characters in the series to do that. We see them make an appearance in his final Smash, so it's totally possible to do that. Next on that note, I don't think anything else would change. He would still have his spells, he would still have his high crit chance, but on the subject of his spells, I think he would actually get more. I think there's something like 50 different spells that he can cycle through randomly, and I think they would probably increase that number. I have played Dragon Quest before, and I couldn't actually tell you off the top of my head how many spells there actually are. But if there actually are only 50, which I don't think there is, I think there's got to be more, maybe. But if there are, in fact, only 50 spells, there are a lot of new elements that could be introduced from Dragon Quest as well. From monster taming to charming. Suffice it to say that I believe that Hero, his whole moveset would stay exactly the same as it is now, but he would just have more options, which is very in the spirit of how he is intended to be played. Going up against a Hero main, the idea is that you are kind of not expected to expect anything. It's very random, and that is how he is, so I think that's how it's going to be. Hopefully Hero does make it into a future Smash game, because I like him. He's very fun to play. Like, if you haven't used Hero yet, do yourself a favor and try, because he's actually a lot of fun. Nothing like a bit of random nonsense added to your random nonsense to give you a good time. In any case, these have been my 5 ideas of characters who will probably be quite different in a future Smash game. Comment down below your ideas. Who do you think will be different? Who do you think of my choices would be totally the same or untouched? Let me know. In any case, if you enjoyed the content today, then make sure to give it a like and subscribe, hit the bell, and make sure to share with all of your friends. My name is Raggy Rog Ragamuffins, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.